Dr. Ali, Dr. Ali, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Sir Derek's a real British diplomat. You know, you can tell he's distinguished and lovely voice. I was a British diplomat too, but I'm not quite like him. So I'm going to talk about fake news, which is sort of interesting. Let me give you, I think it was my first, oops, see? I'll tell you what I think was my first personal encounter with fake news. It was in Moscow in, I think it was October '93. Basically, some of you weren't even born then, but what happened was a group of so-called Red Browns, communists, fascists of different shapes and sizes, tried to overthrow President Yeltsin. And there was the siege of the White House, there was the battle at the Ostankino Tower, and so on and so on. We were in the embassy. We got to the embassy. You could hear the gunfire outside on the streets of Moscow. And the few of us who could get to the embassy, we decided, what can we do here to add value? And we got on the phone and we phoned everyone we knew in Russia to ask, what's going on? What's going on in Vladivostok? What's going on in Omsk? What's going on in Novosibirsk? All we did was go on the phone and ask people what was going on. And the answer was, nothing's going on. There's some weird thing going on in Moscow. Most people in Russia hadn't heard of it. So then we turn on the BBC. And the BBC reporter, I remember this so clearly, he stands there saying, what we are seeing, you can hear the guns in the background, this is an uprising of the people of Russia against President Yeltsin. This was simply untrue. I mean, the one thing it wasn't was that. And a few days later, I met the senior BBC correspondent in Moscow, and I said, why were you saying this live to the planet? No, it wasn't him, but someone else. He said, well, you know, you've got to get the ratings these days. And I thought, good grief, this is a real massive global political climax, and they're thinking about ratings. They're not thinking about the truth. Let me give you a much more recent one. Barbara Bush, sadly, died the other day. And it was announced on the 14th, I think, of April, she was no longer going to take medical treatment. The next day, a huge splash, CNN says she's died. This is picked up by all sorts of outlets across America, around the world. Millions and millions of people see the picture, see the story. It's simply not true. It's not CNN. It's a website presenting itself as CNN, which puts out fake death news. And lots of people were taken in by it. Perfectly normal people like us saw this thing. It's popping up on Twitter, on Facebook. It simply wasn't true. A different sort of example I want to just share with you is this Russian TV media outlet called Sputnik. It's a bit like 7DNews, but it's called Sputnik. It's big. It's 800 hours of broadcasting a day, 30 languages, serious operation. And sort of what they do is not exactly make things up. And a lot of it seems sort of okay, but there's a strange, if you like, deliberate decontextualization going on. And so the story I spotted was, there's a story saying in Latvia, Mein Kampf by Hitler is more popular than Harry Potter. And they've found a website in Latvia where 4 people have bought a copy of Mein Kampf that day, and 1 person has bought a copy of Harry Potter, and they're saying in Latvia, Hitler is more popular than Harry Potter. Now this is sort of, it's not even fake news, it's just weird attempt to sort of spread a sense of unease, I think, and it's difficult to pin down exactly what category that form of reporting, if you can call it reporting, falls into. But there's an awful lot of it going on, and this is from very well-established outlets. So basically, folks, this is my theory. What is going on? Technology, all this stuff you've got here, our little phones, my Apple Watch, all of this stuff is dissolving categories. Once upon a time, there was a distinction between public and private. Gone. There was a distinction between national and international. Completely gone. There were distinctions between men and women. Remember that one? That seems to be going too. There was a distinction between free and unfree. Gone. Real and unreal. Gone. Right and wrong. Going. Definitely going. And so this creates a very difficult, I think, philosophical, let alone practical, operational context for Nadia and her excellent team here to set something up. And if you go on the 7DNews website, there's a little piece I've written about public speaking, showing how technology is going to transform the relationship between a speaker and the audience. Because typically, they're filming me talking to you. But soon, they'll be filming you watching me talking to you, and they will work out what words I say make you smile, what words make you frown, what words make you look at your iPhone. And once I know what words they are, I can manipulate you like anything. And this is all happening because of technology. So effectively, folks, the trade-off is between new and now. News has got to be new, and it's got to be like that. And accurate and honest. It's very, very difficult to find out what exactly anything is. Is any website a real website, or is it some spoof thing? It's very, very hard to tell. So the question, I think, really for us here today is, what does 7DNews bring to this amazing mess out there in the world? Does it add value? Does it bring a different sort of sensibility? I was interested to hear what Dr. Ali said about the Gulf. You know, you go there and it is very impressive how, for me, I'm not an expert on that part of the world, but just how sort of relaxed and orderly and sensible and friendly things are. Can you turn that into an internationally supported, proper media news outlet? I wonder, I always like to, when I do speeches, think in terms of time. So the 19th of April, 2028. That's 10 years from now. 521 weeks and 6 days. If we come back here, what will 7DNews have done? Will it be big and strong and confident and powerful? Will it still be around? Will it be flourishing? We'll have to see. We just don't know. One thing I think they can add value on is integrity. You never have enough integrity, and you always know it when you see it, and you always know it when you don't see it. And I was talking to Nadia today about this, and one of the things that journalists do is they interview people. And I've done courses on this. I've given courses on this. What's the difference between attributable, unattributable, on the record, off the record, a British diplomat, a senior British diplomat based in Brussels? You know, there's all these little tricks you can do when you're being interviewed to get more in or take more out. And one thing, I must have been interviewed, 1,000 times in my career. BBC, CNN, you name it, live, off the record, on the record, blah, blah, blah. No one has ever said to me, we will give you a copy of the recording of the interview. They want to keep that for themselves. And if they get out their little recorder and you say, actually, okay, I'd quite like to record this, is that okay? They don't like that very much. And so one of the things Nadia said she was going to bring into this thing is that when they interview you, they will offer you a recording of the interview, so you cannot be manipulated. That does not mean that you will not mess up your interview. But what it does mean is there is no chance of being manipulated by them taking things out of context and being dishonest about what you've said. And this happens all the time. So if they can bring that discipline to this news channel, they'll be doing the world a major service as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much.